Time now for Focus. Today we have a report on malnourished children in Niger, one of the world's poorest and least developed countries. Food insecurity, a lack of clean water and high fertility rates all contributing to the severity of the situation. Aid groups are active in Niger, but there are funding issues. For this report voiced by Patrick Lovett, France 24's Julie Dungelhoeff went to Niger's Zinder region.
The town of Miria in the south of Niger. Every day about 30 women come to this medical center, holding their babies in their arms. These infants are malnourished and require urgent medical attention. Upon arrival, their degree of malnutrition is evaluated: moderate, acute, or severe.
We check the relation between weight and height to see if the child is malnourished.
On average, mothers and their children stay here for an entire week. On site, 2 local NGOs are working together, Befen and Alima, both funded by the humanitarian aid program of the European Commission. The children are rehydrated and receive dietary supplements. We meet with Dr. Diaoune. She's Guinean and has been working here for 2 years. The center isn't equipped with electronic monitoring devices.
Oma, prends la fiche de surveillance intensive.
Doctors have to monitor the babies themselves, even in the most severe cases.
Here's a child who spent 2 entire weeks at home suffering from diarrhea. He got so dehydrated that he entered a state of shock. He was unconscious when we brought him here, and we had to resuscitate him. We managed to get him out of the coma.
The number of malnourished children continues to increase, and Niger holds the highest infant mortality rates in Africa. There are multiple causes to malnutrition: poverty, shortage of agricultural resources, lack of drinking water, an exploding population. In Niger, the fertility rate is above 7 children per woman.
Up until recently, most people lacked any resources. They'd have to let their child die at home. Because even if they could bring the child to the hospital, they just didn't have any means to pay for the medical expenses.
When a child is ill at home, most people here in this community first resort to traditional medicine. So they stay at home. But when they realize their child's health isn't improving, that's when they finally decide to contact the medical centers.
Malnourished children are especially vulnerable to malaria, diarrhea, and pneumonia.
We know that children younger than 2 years old are the ones most affected by all this. We know that these children, when they reach 6 months, they need quality supplements and nutrients that they usually don't find in the local diet. We know that they become ill really easily, so all this requires a solid medical system capable of confronting these issues.
The region of Zinder is one of the poorest in the country. Malnutrition of children is such a widespread problem here that local NGOs have put together a prevention program, the so-called 1,000 Days Project. It's designed to accompany a child from his conception up to his 2nd birthday. Sanitary huts have been built at the heart of the villages to encourage mothers to have their health checked. Rabi is 23 and 7 months pregnant. She suffers from malnutrition herself. This is her 3rd consultation since the beginning of her pregnancy. She came today because of an infection.
I wanted to come here sooner, but my uncle passed away. This is why I couldn't come.
You have an infection. You must be very careful or you will lose your baby. But if you take good care of yourself, of your hygiene, and you wash really well, it's going to be okay.
We're now very much aware that this is all important for our health, that it's important to attend these appointments. It's important not only for us, but for our babies as well.
Rabi is given an antibiotic treatment to take daily. She will also need to come back the following week for another consultation. Just outside the hut, a group of mothers is being trained. Most of them do not know how to read or write. So with a simple bracelet in 3 colors, green, yellow, and red, they learn to detect their child's degree of malnutrition.
This
is a tool that really helps with prevention. This helps mothers monitor their child's nutritional intake. And this helps mothers not lose any time in bringing their malnourished child to the closest medical center.
This 1,000 days prevention project costs 70 euros per woman. That's 1/3 the cost of hospital treatment. In 2015, close to 50,000 women have been trained to detect malnutrition, with the hope of saving as many lives as possible.
For more on this, I'm now joined by Stéphane Doyon from Médecins Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders. Hello, thank you very much indeed for your time. Now, in that report we just played, malnutrition in Niger is described as widespread. Could you give us an idea of the figures, just how many children in Niger are acutely malnourished?
Well, according to the admission of the children that are globally treated in Niger, it's about 400,000 a year that are treated for malnutrition.
And it's those under the age of 2 who are hit the hardest. In what way? What are the physical and mental effects of malnutrition?
Well, you know, nutrition is the fuel of your development. So what happens is when you have a diet where you have lots of deficiencies, then you are becoming malnourished. So it does affect your development. Basically, you tend to have an immune system that is depressed, so you are more exposed to contract illness. If you have illness, you are more fragile in front of this illness, so you are more exposed to death or to medical complication. It also affects the anthropometry. If you are malnourished, you tend to have a shorter age, and that will also remain when you are adults. And also, what has been proven is for people when during their childhood that were exposed to malnutrition have a tendency to be more exposed to chronic diseases when they're adults.
So what are aid agencies in Niger doing, and what about the government? Do they work together to address this situation?
The government of Niger is pretty active. I mean, since 2005, they did tremendous progress. They were very innovative in the new way to treat malnutrition. Before, we were treating all the children at hospital, and now we find a new ambulatory way where the mother can treat them at home, and which gives us the possibility to treat a far bigger amount of children. And now 400,000 a year is very big. And Niger government has really been a key support in developing all these kind of things. You know, in Niger today, if you are malnourished, it's probably one of the countries where the access to treatment is the easiest.
Now, we heard in the report that fertility rates in Niger are very high. Is it thought that part of the answer would be to have fewer children? Is that encouraged at all?
Well, it's true that normally what you see is when there is a decline in mortality, then there is a decline in the fertility rate, and that has been not seen really in Niger and neither in Nigeria. After, what we see is what really reduces malnutrition sometimes is more the spacing of birth, basically to ensure that in between 2 children you have something like a 24 or 36 months spacing in order to guarantee a more conducive environment for the toddler for the feeding practice.
And what about the funding of aid agencies? Last month we had the World Food Programme saying that it might have to suspend humanitarian aid for those children who are malnourished in Niger soon because it doesn't have much money. Is there more coming in? I understand the European Commission has certainly decided to boost humanitarian aid, not just to Niger, but also Nigeria and Cameroon.
Exactly. I mean, that's a problem, the mobilization of resources. And I think malnutrition cannot be a problem that is only responded by humanitarian organizations. What needs to be done, because it's recurrent every year and so forth, it's a facility. You have a facility for subsidizing vaccine. You have one also for AIDS. You don't have it for nutrition. And globally, that's what would be needed to consider malnutrition as a public health issue and not a humanitarian issue, because every year we are facing the same problem.
All right, well, we really appreciate your time for today's focus. Thank you very much, Stéphane Doyon from Médecins Sans Frontières. And thank you for watching. Time for a quick break. I'll be right back.